dissected frog. But I'm using my little head to draw it. I have no idea what a dissected frog looks like. I'll pretend that's a rib cage. That's a heart. And that's a stomach. And these are all of the intestines. Zoom in here. I'm using a Frankenpen, a 19th century Leroy W. Fairchild dip pen nib. It came with a mother of pearl handle, and you would normally have to dip this and dip this and dip this every third or fourth word or third or fourth letter. And I have managed to put it into a fountain pen to hold it in place so I don't have to dip it so much. And it's not quite a patented way of doing it, but it's a way that I have discovered that it works for me. And there's examples of me making these things, and there's a video of me making this particular one right now on YouTube, so you can watch it yourself. I don't know what's happening over here to his arms. Zoom out so you can see what the heck I'm doing. It's really a nice pen. Normally I do not like to use these pens for drawing, but I am liking this one for drawing. I think it's fine enough that it sort of makes me be extra careful. So I'm not worried about me breaking it somehow. And I'm using watercolor paper, which is a rough paper, textured paper. It has little bumps on it so that the watercolor will function correctly. And as you can see, this pen just glides right over it like there's no tomorrow. What the heck does that even mean? Like there's no tomorrow. I guess that there's no need to consider the consequences of whatever you're doing today. I don't know if I'm using that in the correct way in this particular instance, but let's put another pin right there. It's really a beautiful nib. And is it doing anything that's particularly different from a fine nibbed fountain pen? Probably not so much in what I'm doing right now. If I were labeling this, let's label it, shall we? Webbed feet. I'm sort of trying to look like I'm not I once had to do a labeling for a company, and they wanted me to imitate this lettering that looks somewhat like what I'm doing right here. It was lettering that some non-calligrapher used to label insect names, and he or she was very careful about trying to make the letters pretty and something other than just printing. And of course they did it badly. And I was supposed to copy that. And there was nothing I could do to make it ugly enough for them, my clients. I tried to imitate, the shaky lettering. I tried to imitate the logic of the, some letters, made sense together. Other ones were sort of way out in left field. And I tried to do everything I could, and I was unable to make it ugly enough for them. I had to keep on making it uglier. It was one of the hardest jobs I ever had, because I was asked to do something that didn't have any logic that I could find. And I got out a pen that I had that was broken. It was a broken pen, and it was very, very difficult for me to actually control because it was broken. And it was only when I used a pen that was broken that I couldn't control that I was able to make the letters ugly enough for them. So that's sort of what I'm trying to do here. Eyeball. Why am I doing this again? Oh, I remember. Eyeball. I'm trying to show you, and this is the A-hole right there. I'm trying to show you that this pen may be different than a normal fountain pen when it comes to calligraphy, but I'm not doing a very good job of showing you how that works here. K-N-E-E, kneecap, because I'm sort of copying this ugly lettering. Here, I'll do something pretty right here if I can find a piece of paper that I can write on that isn't crappy. It's very smooth. Hold on just a minute, let me show you. See, this is what it can do calligraphically. Beautiful lines. It's pretty snappy. It goes from thick to thin really, really quick, which is sometimes what fountain pens will not do very well. So, and the 19th century dip pen nibs do really well, and what steel dip pen nibs do well for some reason, but gold iridium tipped fountain pens generally do not do well, but gold iridium tipped dip pens do okay. So, claw. One of the reason I'm drawing this is we have an art show coming up, Animals Real and Imagined, and I thought, well, maybe I'll include this one in my display. It's because I'm imagining a real animal. How about that? I'm planning to do some that have animals that are not real, unicorns and things like that, things that mythological beasts. And I'm thinking I might actually do them on vellum, and make them look like they're actually from old shredded Bibles or something. And so I may do that with other examples of what I want to draw. Anyway, so this is enough for now. I just wanted to show you that I don't know why I'm doing this. Why am I showing you this at all? It's just because I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying showing you, gentle watcher, what I do. One of the things that I'd like to think that I'm getting across in these videos is the joy that I have in drawing and the joy that I have in using fountain pens. And there are many people out there that do fountain pen reviews, and they're very sincere and they're very serious on top of being sincere. And they talk about the pens they use and the pens they love, and all of that is great. But oftentimes they leave out what I think is the important thing, which is trying to get at the soul of the pen, whatever that is. I have no idea what I'm talking about. You can tell that right now. I'm trying to convey something about the personality of the pen and the way that the pens can be used in some other way than just putting them in a locked safety deposit box or cabinet. It's about using the pens and making marks and making letters and making words and writing stories and drawing pictures. All of that stuff is what I love about these things. Just looking at them doesn't do it for me. It does, it helps a little bit if they're pretty or if there's something about them that's charming or neat. But generally it's what happens after the ink leaves the tip of the iridium. And it's not so much, what I'm drawing. It's in between it's not the subject I'm drawing. It's not the skill that I might have that I'm trying to show. There's something in between that point of iridium and the paper and the line. It's that little magical moment, and it's how the ink is delivered, maybe, that I'm reveling in. The range that the nib has, the flexibility of the nib. And you see that in the drawings I do, or the calligraphy I do, or the lettering I do, or whatever it is. But there are talented, much more talented people that can show you that in their videos. But they don't really talk about that little, I don't know how to even measure that. Angstrom. No, it's not really that. It's a millimeter, a centimeter. It's this little tiny space in this little tiny amount of time that the ink comes from the pen and goes on the page. And the springiness of the nib and the force that you require to push down on the nib and the resistance that the nib is giving you. It's this very sensual element that I'm trying to talk about, and I don't know if I'm doing it very well. I mean, some people talk about the balance of the pen and the ergonomics of the pen and blah, 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 and that's all well and good. I shouldn't say blah, blah, blah. They say things that are very meaningful. But it's, again, the what am I trying to say? If you gentle listener, you know what I'm trying to say, why don't you write it down? Send me the script for my next YouTube video so I can explain it better than I am, because I'm not explaining it right now very well. And no, I'm not just like the sound of my voice. I'm not just babbling because I like the sound of my voice. If I like to hear beautiful sounding voices, I listen to James Mason in a radio play or something. I just think that, what I'm trying to convey is not normally what you see there when you type in fountain pen review or whatever. Boy, this is fun to draw with. Okay. Wait, am I zoomed out enough? There we go. Ta-da. That's a lot of guts.